Alright, so this time, if you look at it, I've kind of got a lot of things done. I'm coming up on 10 hours. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and export the game and see how it looks and see if there's anything that I need to change. Then, if that goes well, I can continue doing the turn-based combat. So I gotta remember, I think it's like this, yep. Alright, cool. Alpha version. Just the dream.
Holy smoke, Nick's here.
Yeah. With a laptop. With a laptop.
What? He's got a laptop.
It's not anything yet. Everything's unmodeled.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. I don't know. I was thinking it was going to either be one or two.
I have a game that I would like to shoot.
Alright. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens.
Just wait until I learn how to do things. Just wait until I learn how to use a broken.
But yeah.
This looks good. They are a little close together. The screen is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So I think I'll spread those out a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, you still got the balls though.
Oh. That's an issue. Oh. Yeah, that's a big issue. Okay. Yeah, so the screen is way bigger than it shows in the game view. Like, if I go 16 to, or actually 1920 by 1080, there we go. That's what it actually looks like. Okay.
Okay, because I can't look down right now either. Hold on.
I can't even fulfill this one. Huh? I can't even.
What did you mess up?
I don't know. That's the thing.
Good morning. Can I have your attention, please? First off, a reminder for faculty and staff that WCDC
that should look a little bit better.
A virtual blood drive. Mrs. Stalls and Dr. Pearson are hoping that at least 5 more people will pledge to donate in February. You may also recruit someone to donate on your behalf if you are unable to donate. Any questions, please contact Mrs. Stalls. Be brave and roll up those sleeves. Thank you to Mr. Kelly for stepping up as our latest donor. At this time, all of our buses have arrived. All of our districts did send. Please take your attendance and make it a great morning. Thank you.
We're like banned VPN while I was on. No VPN.
I'm pretty sure this one is the problem.
Well, okay, so the first thing, I'm not going to talk on
This looks fine. Does it? Does it not?
Yeah. Is it like a console command or is it just like an actual error? If you drag the range.
Alright, here's the issue.
Yes, I got that. No, it's not that. Oh. Yeah, everything's fine.
Hmm.
Oh, are you looking with your
Oh
finger?
my god. I just been struggling for the last like 8 days.
I have. I'm glad I was able to. Oh my god.
I mean, I guess that should look fine.
You got it. Yeah, also, another thing. Yeah.
Alright, and then let's head over to the other scene.
Are you guys ready for me to take attendance? Yeah, we're getting on right now. Alright. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Is that supposed to be? No. Why is your crosshair like? It's not set. No, that's what. It is not on center, but it's like 3/4 of the way of the screen.
I think that's a little big.
Yep.
Thinking that is a good size. Yeah. And I can delete these. Not this.
Okay. Well, do you have? Well, no, mine was like fully colored, like all the pages. I was like, wow.
No, mine.
Is it the same thing though? So like, what does that mean? Hold on. I got it selected.
Okay, yeah, I have nothing on these, so I'm gonna make the replacements first, just so I make sure I don't break it.
Yeah.
Name this to name. Put it up there.
You're right here. Let me hold on. Open it and hold it.
You on the call today, Dylan?
Yeah, I am.
Alright, trying to get out there.
I might have it muted. Let me check the volume mixer. Yeah, I do. What's this?
Yeah, but it still says there's no.
All right, so we got Dylan. Colton is here. Andrew. Is Andrew on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Devin is obviously here, right, Devin?
Yeah.
Awesome. Tommy is here, right?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Michael. I saw Michael log in. How you doing today, Michael? Obviously Daniel's here, right? Can you hear me, Daniel?
Yeah.
And I think Daniel is here in a strictly remote capacity, right? We don't have Daniel in person. You're remote, right, Daniel?
Yep, I'm remote.
All right, I shall indicate such. Cody is obviously here, right, Cody?
Yep, Rooney.
Okay.
Yeah, Peruni. Nick is here.
Sorry
Can you hear
about
me,
that,
Nick?
Just trying to schedule stuff.
Yeah, I can.
And John, right? You can hear me, John?
Color.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. I think everybody is here, right? Nice job. All right, so if you're a Unity person, everybody should have been connected to the Unity share on the server. I guess I noticed yesterday not everybody had that. That's where you find the stick man and the block. So if I remember, people were ready to start the 2D platformer. Is anybody ready to start that? And would anybody like some advice on getting going on that one?
Let's do.
Corey, yeah. And Luke, I don't know if you can hear me, Luke. Are you ready to try the 2D platformer?
So.
He's on the call. He may be.
Oh.
You also might want to ask one later on about it. I did that only because it's like, I hate not being able to see the AI. Because like, he just becomes a black square and it scares me. So I added a little bit of fun. How did you do the math, by the way? Because I didn't get the codes for the front end. Yeah, yours looks a lot cleaner than mine. Mine was free.
Alright, I think that's good. And then let me just put dialogue. And then for the next button, I need to make a new.
Oh, it's only chapter 1 and 2 down. But yeah, that's cool. There's a dude! AI is taking over. Whenever I look at it,
Make it centered.
it's just, it's
20? Yeah, that looks like it'll work. And then let me color gradient the gold. I do like the look of the gold.
I presume he has permissions for that.
Alright, cool. And then if we go over to, where would I have saved the dialogue here? Maybe? Yeah.
There you go.
I like this book though. I like the existing action book a lot better because I've been learning pretty well off of it. I've been doing decent.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, you only got like chapters 1 to 4.
Yeah, that's why I've been using this because it's like I've just been moving at my own pace. That's how I've been working on modern AI. I think it's pretty good.
This one also goes in.
Are you there, Nick?
Oh shit! Wait. Oh, so you try to do it in 2D too?
Yeah.
After I finish this book, then I want that PDF and I'm gonna go through it then because this is like
This
the
one
very
teaches you
basic.
about like attributes and
Yeah.
all that. The values.
Dialogue manager.
Wait, you got the wandering guy moving? Yeah, I got my wandering guy working. Oh, we doing something.
It wouldn't be either of these collectors. Ah, there we go. My guess is that it's because I set it to text and not text whatever. Text mesh 2E or something along those lines. What's it? Yeah, text mesh. Other than that, everything should be the same. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. Should work now. Name text of dialog manager has not been assigned. Oh.
Did you find what you were looking for, Luke?
Yeah, now I just need to figure out how to use the player.
Sure.
Hi there.
Like you certainly do the stickman first, but if you look at that same Unity
I
directory,
tried out.
Fields to hold.
I'm
Text
sorry.
mesh
Am I?
pro.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, now I am. Sorry, the crappy
Sorry,
Wi-Fi cut me out. What'd you say?
Yeah. The stickman, of course, works great, but I also put in a folder of 2D animated sprites that the junior class made, which should also work if you wanted to have something different than stickman in your game.
What do I need to import?
Hi there. In this video, we're going to take a look at the text mesh pro object, or the text mesh object. We have two string labels, I guess, being defined. The reason we go to the script itself to see what's required in order to create this. So if we go to our script, we can see that it's a simple mono behavior. Here's our public field. We have two private fields to hold a reference to the text mesh.
I'm confused. Well, it might just not know Text Mesh Pro. Like C#. But maybe it'll work here. No. Text Mesh Pro text name space, sure. Using TM Pro. Oops. There we go. There we go. Now we got the actual text. So, name. What? How to create text mesh pro object to initialize in inspector. Text Mesh Pro UGUI. I guess that makes sense. There we go. Took way too long. I think I'm gonna choose this 20. Now it'd be nice if I could get the actual text box to look nicer as well. But I doubt I can get gradient on it. Well, I can get a material. What's this look like? Ah, that just makes it black. Okay. None. Maybe because it's just a dream, that blue would fit. The blue with gold text would look nice. Oh, actually. I think that looks a little nice. I feel like it's a little too blue on the next sign. Get the spam call again. Should do that. Oh yeah, that looks good. Cool. Alright, and now I think we fixed everything in the game view. So let's go scenes, main menu. I think it would be nice to stay consistent with the color. Yeah, there we go. It's starting to look a little bit better now. Now this needs some major reworking. Look at that. That is tiny because it's 32 pixels, but like still. Like 250, 70. Should probably actually increase the font size for these. Maybe like 20. $150 by 20. We'll have 200, negative 60. We could have pictures there. $255.70. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this again because I have to move that anyway.
Are you able to hear me, Luke?
Oh, now I can.
Okay, there we go. I got you now. I don't know what that was. Maybe we're both on the cruddy Wi-Fi.
If you're trying to talk, Newman, I can't hear you anymore.
$250 to 60.
Can anybody hear me? Am I off or am I on?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that deal is. Sorry about that. All right, so let me see if I can remember this. Sometimes I do remember that when they change versions, sometimes we have to do something slightly different, but let's just see if we can figure this out, because we definitely need to do this. So you're probably on page, let me see if I can find it. My book's falling apart.
130.
Okay, yeah. So let me see if I can remember this. So,
Alright, that looks so much better.
oh wait, can I mark color notes here? Yeah, we're looking at that there. Sprite Man stick. Alright, so let me just see if I can remember this.
So this is the issue here. I have no idea how he was making it so that I could
That
draw it
doesn't
on
seem
there.
right. We're definitely not
So we're
looking.
gonna
I don't
go
think we're
-5,
looking at the thing right.
1.
Where exactly
0.5.
are we? Oh yeah, it says slice up there, but it's grayed out. Sprite Editor, yeah. Type. Here, I'm not sure exactly how we got here, because it doesn't. They've either updated or something's wrong here, because a lot of this stuff doesn't
I
even
pressed
appear.
Sprite Editor right here.
Let's see. Drag. Okay, so you got the stick man, and then
It needs to go. Oh, actually, I think that works.
All right, so Stickman is in the scene. He's
The
not in the scene
scene?
yet. Yeah, maybe I'm trying to figure out what order we do this. Yeah. So select the sprite asset.
Alright.
So it's selected. Up there, sprite type. Does it say? Oh, sprite mode. Change that to multiple. Okay, good. Set. Then click Sprite Editor. Sure. We can apply.
There we go.
Now we got it.
Oh,
Yeah, I
this is
guess we have to
different.
be set to multiple. What's
The
that?
Type to is grid by size. Grid by size. Oh yeah. And then 32, 64.
Yep, this particular one is 32 by 64.
And then slice.
Slice. There we go. Now we got this thing rolling here. Does that work?
Oh
Really
yeah,
tell us if it did or
there
not.
is like slice between them now. It looks like it's just very hard to see.
Oh yeah. You're right. There's a little thin line.
But I bet we press apply.
Now close the Sprite Editor window and click Apply to keep the changes. The Sprite asset is now split up. Yes? Sure, give me 1 sec. Yeah, I'll be right.
Okay.
Alright, so we've got all of this working. Let's go ahead and export it from the main menu again, I think, and then we'll see if it works. Alright, I hope this actually looks better. Oh, this looks a lot better immediately. Scene transition would be nice. Along with maybe, like you can hit the rocks or something like that, and then they give you something. I don't know, something like that. Just so you can do something here. But this is probably the first Unity project I've made that actually allows you to quit, so that's a plus. Corey's being weird though, I don't know, he's kind of weird. But yeah, I think the blue and gold actually looks good.
Alright, so that looks right to me. Yep. We got a bunch of stickmen.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're
on
making
the,
a script for him.
Honestly, I would probably take those mushrooms and stuff off. Let me do that.
I assume you already added rigid body 2D for that?
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're now making platformer player, which is on page 132.
Just because I find it annoying with their collision, because you can't really see them that well. Yeah, there we go. makes it look a little bit more barren, but for now I don't really care. Alright, cool. So that's just the rocks on there. So now it would be cool if I could get it so that at the end of the dialogue it breaks it or something like that. But I don't know. I'll have to think about that. So I have two choices. I could go ahead and continue doing the battle, or I could continue doing this. I think what I'm gonna do the battle, I think. Hopefully it remembers nice as did.
Mode, if you're in center, you won't be able to see the difference. We then go ahead and create a unit script on our enemies. Let's hit add component. Let's type unit and hit create and add. And let's double click to open this up in Visual Studio.
Alright.
And this script is actually going to be really simple. We can go ahead and remove our two functions here. We don't need those. Instead, what we want are a bunch of variables describing our unit. So let's create a public string with the unit name. Let's have a public int.
Alright. Public string unit name.
With the unit level. And let's also add in damage. So we'll create a public int with the amount of damage our unit will be able to do, as well as a public int for the max HP. And let's also have one for our current HP. This way we can keep track of our HP during the fight, and if our unit is maybe already damaged when it enters the fight, we'll be able to control that as well. So let's save that, go back into Unity, and right away we can fill out these variables. So the unit name here is going to be the rock. Let's give it a level of, say, 2.
And that's pretty apparent where he's going with this, but I honestly do not remember that guy from Chrono Trigger, so we're just gonna say he's bad guy. He's a level 15, does 8 damage, his current max HP is 50, his current HP is 50. The player is also a unit, so it'll be, I think we said Zach was his name, but I can't remember. We'll be a little bit over leveled here. But we will deal the same amount of damage, and our max HP is 80, but our current will be like, I don't know, 65.
A damage of 5. Let's set the max HP to 30 and the current HP to 30 as well. Alright, so now that we've created our enemy, we can go ahead and turn him into a prefab. So let's just drag him into the project panel. And there we go, we've now made a prefab out of him. And we can go ahead and remove him from the scene.
I'm gonna reorganize some of this stuff.
Hold on, wait until my 3 months of Game Pass runs out, and then the day mine runs out, let me sign in and get the fucking extra 3 months so that I can just keep. Cause right now,
we gotta go on the CubeCraft 1v1 because they have CubeCraft 1v1. They have 2v2s in one.
bro, we're gonna dominate the Super fan.
Yeah, me and my friend Ben, he's crazy on console for like no reason.
Cracked on console?
He's like crazy with
The reason we're doing this is that we want to be able to load in different units depending on who we're fighting. And let's actually go ahead and do the exact same thing with our player. In fact, we can just use the enemy here as a base. So let's go ahead and rename him to player. Let's move him down here to where the player is supposed to stand. Let's drag him into the project panel as well. And this way we can create a new original prefab. There we go, so we now have both an enemy and a player prefab. And in fact, we can double click on this player prefab to go into prefab editing mode, which is pretty cool. And here we can remove the Dwayne graphic, and let's instead drag in a rock. I think the player should be a rock. That's just inherently cool. And let's reset the transform here. Let's drag it up and place it so that it kind of aligns with the center of our object. There we go. And let's go ahead and rename the unit here.
I don't know if I did that.
I need to get working on some weird shit because I don't trust these networks and I'm not putting my fucking computer.
No, it doesn't even work.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, doesn't this Wi-Fi not work?
How does he know where the center
Here
of
to
is?
lines with this form here.
Oh.
Yeah, but I need the lock password. Or what's, is there a way, if I ask you to like go and do the fucking, I have a Wi-Fi.
But yeah, for me and my friends in Maggie, this is the elusive 14 kill
Here.
in this game. 14 kill? Yeah, because a lobby is 16 and we have the two. We have two, so it makes it 14 kills. We have done it once.
Oh, that's like max.
That's max kills.
Holy shit.
That's what I'm like. Yeah, let me see how I get my card.
Yeah. Would I be able to on my hotspot online? Because like my hotspot's also kind of shitty. I haven't seen one.
Yeah.
But I plugged mine in directly to the computer and I get like a USB.
No, I bet you I did this wrong. But
Let's drag it up and place it so that it kind of aligns with the center of our object. There we go. And let's go ahead and rename the unit here to actual rock. Let's set the unit level to 999. This is a beefy rock. We'll set the damage to 10, the max HP to 25. And let's say our current HP is only 20, so we've taken 5 damage before this fight started. And let's exit prefab mode up here. And we can now remove this prefab from the scene as well. Awesome. So with that, we've actually gone ahead and created both our enemy and our player units. We'll add a tiny bit more to the unit script itself, but the base of it is there. And we can now move on to our battle system and defining all of our game states. So let's go into Unity. Let's create a new empty object. Let's reset the transform and let's name this battle system. Let's drag it to the top here so we can always see it. And let's add a new component and call it defining all of our game states. So let's go into Unity. Let's create a new empty object. Let's reset the transform and let's name this battle system. Let's drag it to the top here so we can always see it. And let's add a new component and call it battle system. We'll hit create and add and open it up in Visual Studio. And we're going to need our start function, but we can definitely get rid of update. Now before we get started on our actual logic here, we need to define the different states that our game can be in. And to do this, we'll use something called enums or enumerations. These are perfect because they allow us to define different states and then create a variable that can always be only one of those states. So we'll start by defining them. We'll create a public enum up here. Notice that I'm doing this outside of the class, and let's call it battle state. We'll then open and close some curly brackets, and a lot of people put a semicolon here. You should not do that because we're not calling a function here, we're defining an enum, and in here we'll put a start state, we'll put a player turn state, an enemy turn, a won and a lost state. And now inside of our battle system, what we can do is now create a public battle state and just call it state. And now we can set this state equal to whatever we want. So inside of our start, once we load up the battle scene here, we're simply going to set state equal to battle state dot, and here we get all of the states, and we of course want to choose start here. So you can see how easy it is to keep track of our states this way, and in fact if we save this script and go into Unity, we'll even be able to preview our different states and see what's this script and go into. So you can see how
One day left. I gotta get home on my Wi-Fi for this. Actually, can I get a VPN?
how easy it is to keep track of our states this way, and in fact if we save this script and go into Unity, we'll even be able to preview our different states and see what state we're currently in inside the inspector. Really
Yeah, this is why I don't do it like that. We had start, we had player turn, we had enemy turn, won or lost, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it for now.
Was it public? Yeah. Public battle state.
And I'd be like, dude, you don't have to get this hot over downloading the fucking game. But, yeah.
states this way, and in fact if we save this script and go into Unity, we'll even be able to preview our different states and see what state we're currently in inside the inspector. Really cool. So now that we are in our start state, we can go ahead and set up the battle. So let's create a setup battle function, and let's create that down here, void setup battle. And in here we of course want to spawn in our units, so we'll create a reference to them. We'll create a public game object. Let's call it player prefab, and we'll create a public game object enemy prefab. And where do we want to spawn these in? Well, we want to spawn them in on our battle station, so we'll create references to those two. We'll create a public transform, and this is just a transform, not a game object, because we just need the location of these battle stations, not the entire object. And this is going to be the player battle station, and we'll of course also have one for the enemy battle station. Then when we set up the battle, we can go ahead and instantiate or spawn in a player prefab as a child of and on top of the player battle station. There we go. And we can do the same thing with our enemy.
Wait, you get Steam points for it? Yeah. Oh, shit, okay. If you pull a mining
the player battle station. There we go. And we can do the same thing with our enemy prefab on top of the enemy battle station. And if we save that and go into Unity, we can drag in our player prefab, our enemy prefab, as well as our player battle station and our player battle station.
There's a guide like on how to do it. Yeah, there's a guide.
I'm gonna do it.
And if we save that and go into Unity, we can drag in our player prefab.
There we go.
There were a bunch of different things we do, and one of them was crafting cans to start on. And people would make mods where you would take one dirt and turn it into 999 soda cans.
You did that? I've heard about that. Oh my god.
Our enemy prefab, as well as our player battle station and our enemy battle station. And on our prefabs here, we want to make sure that their position is set to 0, 0, 0. We'll do that with the enemy as well.
Okay, I was doing that and then I stopped.
I have over 100, or wait, no, 1,500 hours on console. I can't even show my. I don't have a console. Oh yeah. Wait, no, you can. If you still have an Xbox account or a PS4 account. Okay, well, there's also on my Xbox.
Well, just so that when we spawn them in, they'll be right at the center of our battle stations. And if we now hit play, as you can see,
Alright, let's try it. I bet you they won't. Nope.
Okay, so on my computer, you can do Windows. Yeah. Yeah. You could have that, and that opens Xbox and shit like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about this. I literally have an Xbox on my laptop.
Yeah.
Like, literally, because I open the Xbox app. I have every single fucking, my entire Xbox game. I've got almost every game on my laptop. On the Halo box, I tried to get Halo box.
I got a.
It's like $10. Like spin talk. Yeah, oh, that's. Yeah, I'm playing PSVs like crazy though. PSVs is so like, I just find it that wrong. I want some like that.
Oh, Subnautica.
Do you play? Is it multiplayer?
So I don't know why it's not doing it.
Oh, they're
Below zero. Below zero is gonna be multiplayer. I'm pretty sure.
So we're actually be okay. Because I want
Hopefully.
to play
But
It's one of the yeah. Oh, go through it. I'll do it later. Just because I got it.
yeah. I would recommend it. That game is terrible.
Oh, it looks so cool. There's so much shit.
Oh, I have an idea. I assumed it was that, but I wasn't sure.
What? Available perks. One Piece. Oh,
Wait.
okay. What? Is this? I got season 101.
Whoa.
I not even close to there yet. I'm almost done with Alabasta, but
There isn't even 101 seasons. You get the DOS bundle?
wait, what? What one? Oh,
Dude, that took me like 4 days in game.
or they said, hold on, I'm gonna purposely do it. I'm gonna play the game with this.
That's retarded.
Dragon Ball Z Super
He
Season.
got it for free. Meanwhile, I literally spent like 96 hours.
I mean, it looks right. I just need to scale them down, I guess. I don't know why.
Oh, I got it because Moss is like free
Take that. Bump Break's actually.
Oh, Bump Break's fun.
Yeah. I supported them when they first came out.
It's
Yeah.
like a battle.
But here's the thing. It's kind of cute though because you don't have weapons. You have gauntlets, and you choose a starter gauntlet like No, it's actually it's more like Breath of the Wild than Battle Royale. Kind of confusing. But
And then go to Team Up since you have.
Alright, point one's too much.
Yeah, it's on Steam. And then the one for the 64 bit, you have to go like that.
wait, so I get Team Auto.
Yeah, just go to Team Up since you already have the license.
Also, it'll just
Team Up.
Point five is. I mean, with how huge they are, point two should work.
Yeah, I think that's super cool though that they have they think with like.
And yeah, the
Yeah.
whole like getting the mods thing, it's not gonna be a problem because there's no mod for everything.
So I just look up.
Yeah, so you just look up Calamity, and then you also have to get the music because you're not playing Calamity mode.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, good. Okay, so we're gonna grab it. That means we're gonna play recent.
Oh yeah, because that was when I just died with my Supreme Calamitous for like an hour.
There we go.
And our enemy battle station. And on our prefabs here, we want to make sure that their position is set to 0, 0, 0. We'll do that with the enemy as well, just so that when we spawn them in, they'll be right at the center of our battle stations. And if we now hit play, as you can see, we're now spawning in our units. Awesome. Of course, currently we don't know anything about our units through script. We're just spawning in the objects and nothing is really happening on the UI. So let's go ahead and change that. So first of all, we can get a reference to what we're spawning in by creating a game object variable here. We'll call it the player go or player game object and set it equal to the game object that we spawn in. And what we can then do is actually get the unit component on that game object. So we'll do player go dot get component of type unit. And we want to go ahead and store this in a variable because we'll be referencing the unit a bunch of times whenever we need information about health and so on. So let's go to the top here and create two variables. These don't need to be public, we don't need to see them in the inspector. We'll just create a unit, player unit, and a unit, enemy unit. And then down here we can simply set player unit equal to player game object.get component unit. And we'll do the exact same thing with our enemy, so game object, enemy go equals the instantiated object, and we'll set enemy unit equal to enemy go dot get component of type unit. There we go. And what this allows us to do is now get information about our units. In fact, let's go ahead and display the enemy unit name to the player. We access
Dude, that was a good song.
That was a good song. Oh, we laughed at it.
Alright.
this by simply going enemy unit dot unit name. So let's go ahead and put this unit name inside of our dialog text right here. Of course, to do that, we need a reference to this text object here. So inside of our script, we go to the top, and because this is UI, we need to include the Unity engine .ui namespace, and we can then create a public text variable called dialog text. Then down here we can simply set dialog text dot text equal to enemy unit.
I have like 50 days, more than 50 days.
Like, I don't know how you can play. Maybe with mods it would be better. I know you play Bedrock.
Yeah.
Dot unit name. And let's just add a tiny bit to this. Let's just say a wild, and then we'll insert the enemy unit name approaches.
It should be newest download. It should be at the top.
Last month.
Last what?
Oh.
There we go. So if we save this now and go into Unity, select our battle system and remember to drag in our dialog text and hit play, a wild the rock approach.
Do I want to extract or just
Yes, you want to know.
I used to extract all of them.
Yep, I thought so. Okay. So because I'm using Text Mesh Pro, we're gonna change dialog text to Text Mesh Pro.
Well, it has yeah.
Mm. I guess I did name it unit name. Yep.
Approaches. Awesome, so we're now gathering all this information about the units that we're loading in, and we have total control over where we placed it. So let's go ahead and place this information on the HUD overlays. And we could do all this through the battle system script, but that would get very long, so let's go ahead and split it into a separate one that we place on our battle HUD objects themselves. So I'm simply going to select these two, and let's create a battle HUD script. Again, let's double.
Well, like, that, because you're saying that there was stuff that makes this only mod better. Is that...
There's a lot of add-ons. Oh, yeah.
Double click it to open it up. Again, we can go ahead and remove the two functions here. Let's create a public text. And again, remember this is UI, so we need to use
Miner is exactly just like mine. It just reminds me of mine. Okay. So you have to add the actual block itself. And then magic storage, it's like I don't have to it's like a file. Yeah, it's basically
use Unity Engine.ui, and this is going to reference our name text object on the UI. We'll do the same thing with our level text, and we'll also create a public slider to control our HP slider. We then create a function that is going to update these UI elements, so let's create a public void, and we're making this public so that we can call it from within our battle system script, and let's just name it something like setHUD. Of course, we need some information about what we should set it to, so let's just take in a unit and call it unit. This way we have access to all the information we need. And here we can then just set name text.text equal to unit.unitName. We can set level text.text equal to, let's put level, and then plus the unit.unitLevel. For the HP slider, we can set the max value equal to the unit.maxHP, and HP slider.value will set equal to unit.currentHP. There you go. Of course, we probably want to update the HP a bunch of times every time someone attacks or heals, and so let's just create a quick function for that
And then you have to do death. No. I gave up on brain ability. It literally took me 20 hours to go from the start past 5. So like, Jesus. I was struggling.
I think me and my friend Connor, we played for like an hour or two. We got like skeleton.
Yeah.
only updates the HP. So let's do a public void.
I think my favorite is that.
Oh yeah, I don't know if any of the boys will be there.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do revengeance with him just.
Okay, so we're just gonna do normal.
Set HP. This is simply going to take in an int with the HP. And here we can just set HP slider.value equal to that value. Cool. So that's actually it for our battle HUD. All we need to do now is go into our battle. Cool. So that's actually it for our battle HUD. All we need to do now is go into our battle system, and in here we need to create a reference to each of the battle HUDs. One for the player HUD and one for the enemy HUD. So we'll just create a public battle HUD, call it player HUD, and a public battle HUD called enemy HUD. And inside of our setup battle function, we then say player HUD dot set HUD, and we'll pass in the player unit. And we'll do the same thing for the enemy. So enemy HUD, that's set HUD, enemy unit. There we go. Let's save this, go into Unity. And you can see both of the battle HUDs now have some variables that we need to fill out. So for the enemy battle HUD, let's drag in the name text, level text, and need to fill out. There we go. Let's save this, go into Unity. And you can see both of the battle HUDs now have some variables that we need to fill out. So for the enemy battle HUD, let's drag in the name text,
I was so confused. Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah, now I get it. Now, shit, failed the code. I dropped it. Story, yeah. Take that out. Take that out. Let's switch this.
Check notifications.
Oh damn, I'm gonna pull out the video. Dude, have a computer.
level text, and the slider. And we'll do the same thing for the player battle HUD. And for our battle system, we just need to drag in the two battle HUDs.
There's no way she's active. Game on having it's so much better. It is.
I tend to start out with Calamity. As soon as you get like some mediocre users,
Yeah.
I would go
Why is it not there?
I don't know who that is.
Alright, yeah, so it's like a sandworm in the desert.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's the easiest boss, so, and you get like, I think the rogue weapon is like godlike for that part of the game. The bow's crazy. Sword shit. But
There.
Basically, sometimes you can do like spawning and stuff.
So do you guys wanna play later tonight? Cause I got Murray now, if you guys are
yeah,
got the thing for me, yeah.
I mean, I'll have to see what my connection's doing, but like,
Alright. Yeah, no, you can't, I'll just.
Awesome. If we now hit play, we can see immediately our HUD up.
yeah. And if that doesn't work, you can just hear me get my ass kicked. Oh, it's Supreme Columbus for an hour. Yeah, I am struggling. Like the yeah, I've got her down to 15% and then I died by the moons. I'm so mad.
What, who is that?
It's Supreme Columbus is the last.
Aren't there like 30 lots of ads?
Yeah, there's like 30 balls. There's like 30. And then there's extra small. Supreme Columbus isn't the last boss. There's a boss called the Lord, but it's actually impossible.
You can increase font size on that.
It's called, it's the 32-bit integer limit. It switches AIs every. No, I think it switches AIs every second. So you could get like a DNI AI, and then you could get an artifact. So like, and I'm pretty sure it does 9999 damage. So it's basically one thing.
How do you beat them?
You know it's a meme one.
Okay. What happens if you beat it? What are the items?
Updates to show the names of our 2 units, the level, as well as our current HP. Awesome! So we can check off our battle HUD here, and I think it's time to dig into some of the player actions. So inside of our script here in our battle system, let's have a look at what should happen when we're done setting up our battle. Well, at this point, I think we should go ahead and transition to the player's turn. So we'll simply add a line at the end here that says state equals battle state dot player turn, and we can call a function called player turn. And let's go ahead and create that. So we'll create a void player turn, and for now all we want to do here is just make it clear to the player that he can choose an action. So let's set our dialog text equal to something that suggests that. Let's just put choose an action. There we go. Of course, currently we are calling this setup battle, and we are saying that a wild enemy approaches. We're then updating our HUD, and straight after that we're calling our player turn. And all of this is going to happen inside the start method. And that's not really something we want. We want to add a bit of delay here, as we talked about. So how do we do this? Well, to wait in code, we use coroutines. Now we use coroutines quite often here in the channel, but if you
I'm just announcing that we are having Wi-Fi issues, and this is an issue that is widespread. It's happening in other school districts as well. So any connecting to Wi-Fi that would include our testing is not going to be available at this time. They're working on it, and we will hopefully let you know when things are back up and running efficiently. You should be able to connect within our building, but not for anything that needs Wi-Fi. Thank you.
I don't know why they said that it's working.
never seen one before, the syntax is a bit frightening, but just think of them as functions that are running separately from everything else, which allows us to pause them whenever we want. So to turn this setup battle here into a coroutine, we replace the void with I enumerator. Again, I know the syntax here is weird. And now before we go ahead and change to the player turn, we can put in yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and here we can input the amount of seconds we would like to pause. So I'm just going to put in 2 seconds. Now whenever we are calling a coroutine, we need to add a tiny bit of code.
They decided to call it console. You're actually making like cross-play and cross-save happen.
What?
Yeah.
What is 1.4 for my console though?
We need to add start coroutine and then wrap our entire function call in that. So that's all the syntax we need. I know it's a bit weird, but it's always the same way, so you can just have a look at what I'm doing here.
I heard that there wasn't any.
Well, actually, no, there's 2 bosses, one with 2 boards. There's the there's
We're just calling start coroutine, then the name of the function. We're replacing void with our enumerator, and then we're putting in a yield that waits for 2 seconds. So with that, if we save and go into Unity,
These loading times are getting more and more long as I add scripts. I'm like surprised at the amount of stuff I've done so far.
Wait, Care Blades?
No, it's, you literally summon swords.
Yeah, that worked. Oops.
And it shows up like
and hit play, as you can see, while the rock approaches, and after 2 seconds, it says choose an action.
I kind of want to make it so that it does it one at a time, but
And we can now either press attack or heal. Of course, currently nothing happens, so let's go ahead and add some logic for the buttons. Let's start with the attack button. So to do that, we go into a script, and we'll create a new function here called onAttackButton. And we want to trigger this function whenever the onAttack button is pressed. However, in order to do this through the UI, we need to mark it as public. And what we want to do here is to check if it's currently the player's turn. So if state is not equal to battlestate.playerTurn, well, then we'll simply go ahead and return out of this function. We don't want to do anything more. But if it is, well, then we'll continue down here, and then we'll call some kind of player attack function. In fact, let's make this a coroutine.
I don't know why he's doing it like that. I'm gonna change this so that it actually makes sense.
That we can pause during our attack. So we'll do start coroutine around that function call. And let's go ahead and create the function as well. So we'll create an I enumerator. We'll call it player attack. And here we want to damage the enemy. We then want to wait for a few seconds, so yield, return new, wait for seconds. I'll put in 2 again. And then we want to check if the enemy is dead. And change state based on what happened. So we'll do that in a sec, but for now let's just make sure that this function is triggering. So if we save this script and go into Unity, we now navigate to a UI. Let's find the dialog panel, and here have the combat buttons. I'm going to select the attack button, and under any UI button there's an on-click event. Here we can choose what happens when this button is clicked. I'm going to hit plus, I'm going to drag in the battle system, and let's go under the battle system script. And here we can now call the onAttack button function that we just made. Awesome, that is now going to trigger that function whenever we press this button. Of course, we probably want to make our player attack actually do something other than just wait 2 seconds. So let's have a look at damaging the enemy. Well, this is actually fairly easy. We have a reference to the enemy unit, and so we can simply go in here, and we could actually modify the HP directly, but it's better practice to create a function that does this. So let's create some kind of take damage function that takes in our player unit's damage. So player unit dot damage. Let's go ahead and create this function here. So let's go into our unit script. And in here, let's create a public void take damage. This is going to take in an int with the amount of damage, and it's then going to subtract that damage from our current HP, so minus equals. And in the case that our current HP reaches 0, we want to let our battle system know that this unit has died. So we want to go ahead and say if our current HP is less than or equal to 0 after we subtract this damage, well then we want to return either true or false. So true if the unit has died and false if it hasn't. So we'll go ahead and change the return type of this function from void to bool, and we can now return true, and if not, then we can return false. So this function is going to subtract the damage, check if this unit has died and return true if it has, or false if it hasn't. In this way, inside of our battle system, we can now gather this information in a boolean. So we'll create a boolean called isDead and set it equal to the result of this function. And then down here, when we check if the enemy is dead, we can simply go if isDead. Well, then we want to end the battle, and if it's not, well then it's the enemy's turn. There we go. We also just damaged the enemies. So we need to update the enemy HUD, so we'll go enemy HUD dot set HP, and we'll pass in the enemy unit dot current HP, and let's also update the dialog text. So let's go dialog text.
What? Yeah. My old account. Like when I purchased Minecraft back in 2015, it was after, I think I bought it the second that Microsoft had bought
The text equals the attack is successful. Then if we die, we'll change the state to battle state dot 1 because we just killed the enemy unit, and we'll call some kind of end battle function. Create this in a sec. And if the enemy isn't dead, we'll go ahead and set state equal to battle state dot enemy turn. And we'll start a coroutine with some kind of enemy turn function that we'll also create in a sec. So let's start by creating the end battle function. Void end battle. Again, you could turn this into a coroutine if you want to, but I don't need to here because I'm simply going to update the dialog text. So if state is equal to battle state dot 1, well then we'll go ahead and set dialog text dot text equal to you won the battle. And if not, and the state is equal to battlestate.lost, well then we'll display you were defeated. And then I'd probably load out of the battle screen and so on and so on. So that's it for our end battle function. Now let's do our enemy turn. Again, this is a coroutine, so let's do an I enumerator. Call it enemy turn. And now in here,
I don't understand because it's like a draft your recently played game that just goes back.
Yeah, well, because there's like 4 different versions of Minecraft that are on, so.
Yeah, that's true actually.
here you can definitely add some kind of AI to determine what the enemy does. If he also has an attack and a heal, you might want to attack if he has a chance of killing the player, or heal a few times if he loses health. You can put in whatever logic you want here. For now, we can just make him attack every time. So to do that, let's create some dialog text that says that the enemy unit is attacking. So enemy unit dot unit name attacks. We'll then wait 1 second, and that will damage. name attacks will then wait 1 second, and that will damage the player. So player unit dot take damage based on the enemy. Units damage. Again, we want to check if the player has died. So bull is dead. We want to update the player HUD. So player HUD dot set HP based on player unit dot current HP. Let's wait 1 more second. We can just copy this line here, and then let's determine whether not the player is dead. So if he is dead, then we can set state equal to battle state dot lost, and again call the end battle function. And if not, then we'll set state equal to battle state dot player turn and call the player turn function. There we go, that's an enemy turn. So we display in the dialog that he's attacking, we wait 1 sec, then we damage the player, we wait 1 more second, and then we determine if he's dead or not and change states. And with that, we should actually be able to go into Unity and hit.
So right now, just whoever has the highest health just wins. Oh wait, that might be an issue. Can I really just spam it like that? That's an issue. Let's see if he mentions
Hit
it.
play, and while the rock approaches, we'll choose the attack action. The attack is successful, and as we can see, the rock loses health. It attacks, we lose health, and we're back to the player turn. And we'll be able to continue like this until either we or the enemy dies. So we'll go ahead and attack it 1 more time, and we won the battle because its HP is now 0. Awesome! So that was the battle system and all of the game states. That was it for the unit and the attack action. And we can just go ahead and add a heal action real quick just for fun. So doing this is much easier. We simply need to duplicate the on attack button. Button function here, and let's call it on heal button instead. We only do this if it's our turn, and it's going to start a coroutine called player heal.
Well, I guess I'll do it the way that he did it here. if state is not equal to battle state dot player turn return.
Oh yeah, I gotta fix that. I forgot. Yeah, I had to because at the time when I was AI, I didn't do anything. I skipped over it, and I had made this, and I forgot that I had to. Yes, before I did it after. Like I made this late because it didn't have the other scripts for the AI count.
No, you create this after you create it. No, you create the
And all this is going to do is be an enumerator called player heal. And of course we need to heal the players. Let's go into our unit and create a heal function. Public void heal. It's going to take in an amount. And it's just going to increase our current HP by that amount. And if the current HP gets greater than the max HP, well then we'll simply set current HP equal to the max HP. Then inside of our
That makes more sense. well then we'll simply set current HP equal to the max HP. Then inside of our battle system we can call the player unit dot heal. Let's just heal by 5 points. We'll update the UI, so player HUD dot set HP, player unit dot current HP.
So you split it out. Hold on. Die?
We'll update the dialog text. You feel renewed strength. Wait 2 seconds and change.
Oh, is that how it is? Why aren't you reacting to that? Did you actually delete the script from it and then still add the script in?
To the enemy's turn. And that's it. We can now save that, go into Unity. Enemy's turn. And that's it. We can now save that, go into Unity. And here we of course want to make sure to select the heal button and add an on-click event to.
Alright, the issue with using the on click is whenever it's clicked it'll do it. No matter what.
Yeah, no, I haven't. So should I do that? Oh, the live state.
You have to do this.
Okay, yeah. Well, I got there that far. I just want to make sure.
Do that as well. We'll find our
Is this still an update?
Well, private, that goes outside.
Any private?
On heal button.
Oh yeah,
Did I not save it? Yep.
I just start typing.
Why is it not showing up?
Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, wait, so right here?
Yes.
Wait, do I just put it?
I mean, you could do that, or you could just.
Oh, copy page. How did you do that? Oh, yeah. But then we don't have to put, is everything else already typed?
And then you have to create a field.
I bet you it's because there was an error, so it didn't actually reload it. Yep.
Our battle system on heal button function, and if we now play and let's maximize the game view here, we can choose of course the attack action. That still works. We take some damage from the attack from the rock, we'll press heal and we immediately regain some HP and we feel renewed strength. And there we go, we've now created turn-based combat with different actions and an enemy, and it's all working. Awesome! That of course means that we can check off the last thing that we needed to do here. And there are of course a bunch of ways that you can expand upon this. You can change the UI based on game state. In fact, let me just go ahead and add some of those here. So I'll just drag in a column. Let's call it making it cooler. I'm just going to add in some bullets that you could add. You could change the UI based on the game state, similar to what they do here in Pokemon. You could add animations to units and health bars. I think a good example of this is definitely Final Fantasy, where you can see that there's all these kinds of animations going on whenever someone attacks. In fact, let's just go ahead and drag that right in here. You could add more actions for the player and enemy, add more units by adding some kind of unit select game state, and of course you can integrate it further into your main game. If you're not sure about where to go from here, you can always check out this really cool video I found by Codemonkey that shows a lot of the animation stuff and even has some UI overlays for showing damage.
Oh, yeah, right. So in here. Oh, no, this goes above.
In this video, we're going
damage, which I think is really cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add that in here as well. So anyway, there's plenty of opportunity for you to go nuts with it from here. That's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification.
Alright, that was useful. So now I have the Unity thing. Well, I think all I have to do now is when you end it. How do you change the scene again? Using Unity or .scene management. I'm just gonna switch over my stick around my scene manually so I can, well actually I just need to look at the script. Which one was it? Main menu probably. Scene manager.loan scene, okay. glad it's not.
He will die. Perish.
I don't know if this will work, but we're gonna go with it. What's it called? Game. Yeah. It's while it's waiting, it's the issue. I need to change the state before I wait. And then I also need to make it so that I can transfer it into this. Alright, so I need to go to the bathroom, but then after, that's what I'll do. Alright. So let's go ahead and... Oh. I have forgotten. I know we had to transfer it. Right. Oh, this is the video I am currently recording. That's gonna break VLC. Yep. That break OBS? Sort of. It looks good now. Okay. And then I also need to make it. And then I also need to make it so that I can transfer it into this. What was the other thing? It's the issue. I need to change the state before I wait. Alright, yep. Unclick. Okay, there. Player heal. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say that in the comments that you should do that, because I feel like otherwise it doesn't work too well.
In this video, we'll have a look at creating one of the...
How the hell I get here? Sometimes I end up getting I get to go home at 1 today, but I have a new class that I've never been to. So I'm a little bit scared. You guys are so lucky. I have to stay till 3. Well, I have to stay till 3 tomorrow. So I kind of get fucked over. That's pretty key, honestly. I had so much fun just kind of being alone and chilling for a couple of days. Yeah. That's key. You just respect the laws of
You never know. Maybe somebody had the same issue as me and doesn't know. That's why I always write stuff down, even though it might not even be worth it. All right, player attack.
Is he gonna start spawning again?
So you have a, no, you have so if you create basically this, you just have
Wait, oh no, that's actually.
That should fix it. In the meantime, what's this? Oh no. Which, by the way, this guy is getting me music for my game, but he's just sending me stuff that he likes right now. Alright, it's not working anyway. Alright, that should stop me from being the most spam attack. Yep. Now, again, every single time we run this, it'll run the exact same way because I have more health and we each attack at the same amount, so kinda no point. So I guess I could fix that by making it so that it's a base damage rather. Okay, so int full damage is equal to int dot random dot range from 1 to 4. And how I would do this in the full game, I'll actually make a comment for this. I would change this range depending on the weapon used. So that way, like, one weapon could be, well, actually, instead of that, from 1 to damage.
this here. So it's just basically a way to say, hey, just constantly going.
Current HP minus equals full damage. There we go. And now, depending on your stats, you'll get different things. And then the way you'd calculate the damage with different weapons and stuff would actually be through the unit, like through this variable, rather than inside the take damage. So instead of just setting it in the inspector, I'd probably have methods in here where it's like, to actually get the damage, you'd add your equipment, your stats, all that stuff up. Except for actual enemies where it'll just be a static number. Okay. But that should make it so that it's a separate amount each time, and I could actually do this same thing here, where I feel like healing would give you the same amount every time. Because otherwise it could get annoying. Because, like, you'd be about to die, and then you heal, and then it's like you didn't heal anything. So I think that's good. Let's test that. Now this might make it go a lot longer because it's going from 1 to 8 rather than just 8 every single time.
Here's the funny thing. So if you go to your tree tab, I created a separate.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Like, you go to your tree tab, right? You add the component of a. And make sure you grab each work. You can go from, just constant spinning to constant spinning, but.
oh,
but in the
wait.
y-axis.
Do I have to add a reading body?
Constantly spinning, but in the y-axis.
I mean, it's not the most complex thing. You're still just clicking attack or heal every single turn. But it's definitely a game. Like, I could see this as an actual mechanic rather than just click the button until you win. And there. Now, one of the issues I'm having is when I load a scene, it loads it at its defaults, right? So if I wanted to, let's say I was over here and then I got in the battle. When I reload the scene, I'm going to be back all the way back down here because this is where the scene starts me. But yeah, I think this will work. I just need to load it.
You've got your game working. How's yours going? Are you doing Stickman also? Are you following along with his Stickman Blue? Yeah. So he did the 2D platformer out of the book. You've got your game going. You've got your game going. Was there something completely new and different? What was that? I've seen it done. You can make cards. I haven't seen his. Is his working okay?
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Alright, that's cool.
Hey Newman,
Yes.
I actually got the turn-based combat working now.
Did you really? That's
Yeah.
awesome as heck.
It's not the most complex since you just attack.
Yeah, it's
But
like Pokemon.
yeah, exactly. That's what the guy I think was trying to emulate. But yeah, I added it because the guy had it where you dealt a set amount of damage every single time. So it's just whoever had higher health won.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So I just changed it to instead of dealing that amount, you deal 1 to that amount, a random number.
That makes much more sense.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the Zoom meeting and everything now because 10:50.
So if you actually go down there, like later, you're
All right. Yep, that's everything for today.